Hello friends, welcome to today's connection with the new and full moons. I'm Kathryn Lovelady, director along with my husband of Moonstar Lodge and an elder. In the last video I spoke of this time of listening woman, the grandmother of this fifth moon cycle. We're just past the end of the first quarter of this moon cycle, so just about here on the wheel. And we're moving into a time that's quite important, so I thought I'd better do another video to help us all collectively have our same good foot forward on this path, this journey we're making. As I mentioned in the last video, which you may wish to refer to before going on with this video, Listening Woman is the grandmother of the fifth moon cycle, and whereas her predecessor, Looks Far Woman, was the psychic grandmother of that moon cycle, this grandmother is about listening to the true self. We have been forced by these incredible, unusual times of this pandemic of COVID-19. We've had no choice with our physical and social isolation to spend time with ourselves. And some people are very comfortable with that because they're comfortable with themselves, and others are getting rather antsy and tired of it because we're about 6 or 7 weeks into this time of being isolated at home. There's a lot of fear, and we don't want to manifest changes that reflect fear. So I wanted to talk to you today about this grandmother, Listening Woman, and her time here on the wheel, because we're coming up to the full moon, and it's a full moon in perigee, which happens at, I believe, at 6:35 a.m. on Tuesday the 7th, May 7th. I'm not sure exactly what day of the week that is, but it's May 7th for sure. However, we have about 27 hours before the zenith of that full moon, and another 27 hours after. So basically the 6th, 7th, and 8th to do ceremony, to connect even over the internet with friends, to look at what we want to create at the end of all of this. In my preparation and ceremony and prayer to do this video, I connected with ancestors who wanted me to talk about the role of shaman. Now, in this dimension, my shamanic practice was always something I kept very personal and close to my chest. In indigenous traditions, we have been victimized, tortured, and horribly treated historically for our practices. So keeping one's shamanic journeys to oneself was an important thing. But now I have to step out of that comfort zone and talk about the things we are creating. And in the teachings of the medicine wheel and the circle, if you think of this medicine wheel now representing the cosmos, everything inside our universe is in something called the tonal. It exists, we can see it, it's the table, we can label it, it's a book, we can label it, we can touch it, we can see it. Everybody who looks at that knows it's a book. If you look at a star, the star exists, it's a star. But on the other side of the great line of distinction, which is what shamans travel through to manifest spontaneous healing and changes in this dimension, we have something called the Nagual, which is a South American term, for the field of all possibilities. We call it the universe, we call it creator, we call it the great mystery. It is a consciousness from which all form manifests in our area, the tonal. So what we can dream and conceive, we can create. But everything starts as a thought, an idea, a vision in the mind. And so in this pandemic time, we are, for some people, in a state of panic or fear or what if and when will and these kinds of questions. This is not going to reflect well in the field of all possibilities. What we send out there is reflected back to us. So if we reflect anxiety, fear, chaos, mistrust, those are the situations that get reflected back to us. More of what we've put out there. We reap, unfortunately, from what we sow. So if we sow thoughts and energies which are of a low vibe and fearful and anxious, that's what we're going to get. So collectively we have an opportunity. And listening woman, this grandmother of this 5th moon cycle, has an opportunity now to hear our individual and collective heartfelt wishes and dreams for the other side of the pandemic. What do we want to create? What do we want from this? Well, we can see that in parts of the world, the earth is getting healthy again. The canals of Venice and the ozone hole over Antarctica has closed, and there's many things that represent tremendous healing for Turtle Mother Earth. But as a society, in our economy, in our culture, in our interconnection with each other, in this great web of life where all things are connected, what do we want to see on the other side? So we're planting a seed. I noted this past week in the first quarter of this moon cycle that the farmers around us here in Tiny Township are planting their seeds, and that's exactly what you do in the first quarter of a moon cycle. And we've had rain and lots of opportunity for these seeds to work in the way of right relation. So now on May 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have an opportunity to plant the spiritual seeds, the collective seeds of what it is we want to grow. So I welcome those who wish to connect with me through our email, who want to know where they sit on the wheel, for the rest of the year. By all means, communicate and I will help you with that. But for now, I want to focus just on the 6th, 7th, and 8th, because it is a perigee full moon, so that means the moon is very close to the earth. The energies are ripe for all sorts of things to happen. And I pulled some cards for this, as I do with every one of these videos. And I asked Spirit to communicate with me, the ancestors to communicate with me. In the medicine wheel I created, what are the thoughts? What can they provide for us to help us make the best decision for us as individuals and to project for the rest of humanity? And the first card I pulled was many paths. So many of us will have a different path after the end of this pandemic. It may not be the path that we started, or were on rather, when we entered this time of being reclusive. But in fact, there are many opportunities, many paths for us to take. If you were unhappy with the life that you had, or found it dull, or, as they say, deadly dull and boring, now's your time to incubate in your mind to sit with yourself and decide what is it you want to create. If you were perfectly happy with your life and want it to expand, then nothing should hold you back. The card in the east was corn. Or sorry, in the south rather, was corn. Corn is a hugely important staple crop to the people of the South. It is all over the world. And we are going to have a crop. We are going to reap what we sow, and it is going to be bountiful. This is really important. We have to tend those crops, though. We don't want blight or anything to destroy the crops. So we need to stay focused on what it is that we are germinating, the path that we are incubating when we birth ourselves out of this time after the pandemic. So that was in the east. This is in the south. In the west, I got serpent. Serpent is the one who is a protector. Most people don't like snakes, but in the spiritual sense of snake, snakes can be linear, snakes can form a circle, they can be in the water, they breathe air, they can be on land, they can be in a tree. They're very adaptable. Snake is asking us to be adaptable and to be open, to listen. Snakes feel vibrations and they hear. So this is keeping us on our path and knowing when we go in the water, know when we go up a tree, know when we stay on the land, know when we go down in our den, in our burrow. But this is a time about being one with self. The card in the north is the arrow, and the arrow card represents sticking true to purpose. This is in the position of spirit in the north. So being very clear what direction we're going, that we're going to hit our target, the target that we created in the east when we are incubating our dreams. Those four cards are from Shamanic Oracle. The cards I pulled for the dotems I got are Peacock. Peacock is a very young energy. Peacock is about knowing when to show your colors, knowing when to hide behind a tree. So consequently, knowing yourself and knowing when to be out there, where it's not time to be out there yet, but you can be planting the seed. The next totem is owl, a creature of wisdom, and both of these are bird clan animals, and bird clan are the ones that fly closest to the creator. But owl, again, is a night visitor. This is about knowing wisdom in our darkness, in our shadow selves. So finding and correcting that which no longer serves us. The third totem is elephant. An elephant is about knowing when to be aggressive, and it is an animal, though, that is primarily wise and connects with us. These are the animals that we are meant to connect with, and whatever they mean to you in your cultural paradigm or your spiritual paradigm, these are the animals that walk with us. So we have peacock, owl, and elephant. The cards in the middle that represent as above, so below, and the self. The Seven of Wands. This one wand in the middle is a light. It just takes one light. We could light up the other wands. We can pass the light between candles. It just takes the light from one individual to overturn a lower vibration in a group of people. So Spirit is asking for each and every one of us to be the light within our own little enclave. We are still in a time of respite. The Four of Swords is about taking time to still be introspective. So the pandemic isn't over yet, but I loved this one, the sun. By summertime, we will be fully and completely out of this. And I'm reminded that in my meditations with this grandmother, listening woman, that this will be the shortest pandemic if we are wise and stay within the self. It will be the shortest pandemic to have covered the entire globe. Some pandemics, particularly in the Middle Ages, went on for years and years with great numbers of death. As we have evolved as people, the global community, this will be the least number of deaths and the shortest amount of time because of our collective wisdom. That is one of the seeds that we can sow, is being thankful to the Nagual, to the field of all possibilities, that we come out of this unscathed with a cleaner, healthier world and on the right path for us. This physical life is very short and only a small segment of the spiritual journey that our souls are on. So consequently, it's important to recognize that we are a physical being only for a short time, that really we are a spiritual being having a human experience. Anyway, I leave this with you and ask that over this weekend and over the next few days, you incubate the perfect and be thankful for the perfect outcome for the world, for yourself, for your family and friends. And I thank you, Miigwech, Miawen, and feel free to communicate. Blessings.